Early in the 2005 World Series of Poker, Daniel Negreanu, already an established elite analytical mind, found himself navigating a table of internet qualifiers. But sitting on the button was a dangerous exception, Sam Farha. Farha's table image was highly aggressive. He had already knocked out 2 players, building a massive stack of $30,000, and routinely leveraged those deep reserves to put relentless pressure on his opponents. Fast forward to the climax of our encounter. The river card falls, completing a board of 7 of spades, 6 of spades, 5 of diamonds, king of hearts, and 5 of spades. Negreanu holds the 9 of hearts and 8 of hearts. He flopped the nut straight, the best possible straight you can make. The action is on Farha, and he pushes a massive bet of $11,875 into the middle. Negreanu looks at his straight, thinks, and folds. To an amateur, discarding a made straight borders on absolute madness based on the raw, static value of the cards. To an expert, static hand strength is an illusion. Hand value is entirely relative, dictated by the opponent's range and the texture of the board. Professional player and author Dan Harrington built his tournament philosophy on surviving the deep, complex stages of a poker tournament. For him, survival dictates post-flop agility. Intermediate players frequently fall into a specific psychological trap. They rely heavily on pre-flop starting hand charts to dictate their play, seeking clear rules for when to enter a pot and when to fold. This exposes a massive cognitive gap. Amateurs crave binary decisions before the flop to avoid the complexity of the later betting rounds. Experts actively embrace the ambiguity of post-flop play, relying on continuous deductive logic as new cards are dealt. Analyzing the logic behind Negreanu's fold reveals the specific deductive layers found in elite tournament play. True mastery of no-limit Hold'em requires abandoning the illusion that good starting hand guarantees safety. You have to engage in street-by-street Bayesian updates, constantly revising your assumptions as new data arrives. We have to reverse engineer this hand. Negreanu is in the cutoff with 9-8 of hearts. Farha is on the button. Both are sitting deep. Negreanu has $15,000. Farha has $30,000. Negreanu raises to $150. Everyone folds. Farha calls. This introduces our core analytical tool, the opponent hand range matrix. Because Farha plays an aggressive style, Negreanu assigns him a wide spectrum of possible holdings, including suited connectors, medium pairs, and high cards. The dealer lays out the flop: 7 of spades, 6 of spades, 5 of diamonds. Negreanu immediately hits the nut straight. With the best possible hand at this exact moment, Negreanu calculates his next move. Instead of betting out to protect his hand, he taps the table and checks over to the aggressive Farha. Farha takes the bait and bets $1,000 into the $400 pot. Negreanu merely calls. A massive raise here would force Farha to fold his bluffs and weak hands. By just calling, Negreanu deliberately keeps Farha's betting range as wide as possible, aiming to extract maximum value later. But that call gives Negreanu crucial data to update the range matrix. He can now filter out the specific premium hands, like aces or kings, that Farha would have re-raised pre-flop. He also eliminates the absolute garbage hands that wouldn't bet $1,000. This check call functions as a deliberate data-gathering maneuver, trapping Farha while systematically narrowing the field of mathematical variables. The turn brings the king of hearts. Now it's time to build the pot. Negreanu leads out, betting $2,000. Farha does not raise, he simply flat calls. Farha is looking at a $6,275 pot and needs to pay $2,000, giving him express odds of 3.1 to 1. He remains an underdog to hit a flush, but banks on high implied odds, the massive payout he calculates he can extract if his draw completes. Negreanu processes this call and updates the matrix again. A player of Farha's caliber doesn't call $2,000 with nothing. The range tightens dramatically, isolating on flush draws, straight draws, or hidden sets. The turn is the critical threshold in deep stack poker, where implied odds begin to outweigh current hand strength. Having the best hand right now is an incomplete metric if the math indicates your opponent will only continue when they can beat you later. The river card is the 5 of spades. The board has now paired the 5s, and the third spade completes any potential flush draws. Negreanu checks. Farha shoves his remaining $11,875 all in. We apply Harrington's 3 interrogatives. 1. Do you have the best hand? No. Flushes and full houses are possible. 2. Will a stronger hand fold? No. Farha won't fold a monster. 3. Will a weaker hand shove? No. He isn't betting $11,000 with 2 pair. The math springs the trap. Negreanu's nut straight has degraded into a mere bluff catcher. If he calls, he only wins the pot if Farha has absolutely nothing. Negreanu performs the final update on his range matrix, reviewing Farha's pre-flop call, flop bet, turn call, and river shove. This sequence of actions dictates that pure, flat-out bluffs constitute a statistically insignificant percentage of Farha's remaining range. Negreanu's fold demonstrates the flawless application of matrix logic, allowing pure deduction to override any emotional attachment to a premium hand. We measure Negreanu's genius by contrasting it with an amateur error from Harrington's workbook. An amateur holds ace-queen offsuit. 2 players limp, creating a $90 pot. Sitting with a $2,800 stack, the amateur pushes all in before the flop. Harrington diagnoses the psychology driving this massive overbet as the fear of flopping. These weak players push their entire stack in the middle pre-flop because they completely lack Negreanu's elite analytical tools. They are terrified of the cognitive load required to navigate post-flop board textures. They don't want to see a flop, miss their ace or queen, and have to deduce if their opponent has a pair. This play has destructive math. Shoving $2,800 to win $90 carries a heavily negative expected value. Weak hands fold, winning you only $90. But if called, you face a mathematically dominant hand like pocket aces or kings. Protecting a vulnerable hand by truncating the decision tree before the flop is a severe leak. It ensures small wins and catastrophic losses, guaranteeing long-term tournament failure. Mastering no-limit Hold'em absolutely requires abandoning these mechanical crutches. You have to dive directly into the fractal complexity of post-flop play. With every check, every single call or massive bet, and sizing choice taken by an opponent is a piece of data. It is a filter that must be processed through your deductive matrix to narrow down the statistical reality of the hand. High-level dominance requires the analytical framework necessary to solve these choices, even when your tournament life is on the line.